welcome to the Women's Business Society podcast, where you can listen to the experts where I pick their brains for hot tips and tricks to help grow your business. Thank you to our major sponsor, Book It Bookkeeping, and a shout out to all our members, with a special mention to So Beautiful, who provides all the gifts at our WBS networking events. Hi everyone, joining us today is Alicia from A Copywriting to talk about 7 steps to writing kick-ass copy. Thanks very much for joining us today, Alicia.
Thank you so much for having me, Kaz. I'm so excited.
And now, just to start, I love that a copywriter has the title kick-ass copy, because that's just cool.
Yeah, that's totally me. I always try to be myself in my brand, and if that means dropping the odd profanity, so be it. I like to have a little bit of fun in life and with my copywriting as well. So
yeah, well, I thought it was quite funny when, because one of the questions in our member interviews is about, why did you join? And I love how you said in a podcast that you heard, you have to be a little bit crazy. So I thought that was hilarious. So welcome to Crazy Town.
It's great to be here. Population us.
Now, before we dive into the 7 steps, I know our listeners would love to know more about you. So, please share about, what's your business, why you started, and when you started. So take it away, Alicia.
Awesome. Okay, so my business is Type A Copywriting. Obviously, I'm a copywriter, but I kind of call myself an all-round communications queen. My background's in marketing, PR, and communications management. So I worked in that space in corporate world for about 15 years before I started my own business last year. And I guess that experience is something that really sets me apart from other copywriters. I can do more than just write awesome content. I can also help my clients use that content to get the best results, and I can help with strategy and all that sort of stuff. So I really love the strategy side of things. So that just adds an extra element to my services. And I guess, I kind of say to my clients, you can consider me as like a one-woman communications team for your business. And that's part of the reason why I started. I actually noticed that for small businesses, they don't have the luxury of having an in-house communications team like big brands do. And for that reason, I think a lot of small businesses really struggle with their content. You have the business owner trying to run the main business and do everything, and then they're also trying to meet their content needs as well. So they're often writing all their own stuff, writing all their own blogs, and not only is it super time consuming, but content's one of those things, if you don't really nail it and get it right, you may as well not do it. You only really get one shot to connect with your audience, and if you're putting stuff out there that's not quite on point or that misses the mark, you might lose those people forever. So I think that's what I really love doing in my business, is just helping people connect with their ideal customer and really creating a voice for their brand that sort of sets them apart.
Yeah. And the thing is, someone like you who is an expert in doing that is so valuable to a business, because the thing is, just because they're super passionate about what they do, it doesn't mean they're the best at describing what they do. And often the more passionate you are, the more words that you use to describe it, because there's so much meaning behind what that business is. But someone like you can come along and say, this is what this ebook is, or this is what this is, and explain it in a way that is very straightforward and removing a lot of fluff. Because I think what I see is people super passionate have a lot of fluff in their wording. So it gets very confusing. So, and it's building in those relationships. Like, it's like the marketing. It's unless you could sit down and have a coffee with your customer, how do you have that bond there? And that is through that communication, and most of it is written because of the digital world that we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you said about people using a lot of fluff when they write about their own business, the thing is, when it's your own business, you're in so deep and you don't always see it from your customer's point of view. You're so tied up in the running of the business. And once you have a certain way of thinking about your business in your mind, it's very hard to break out of that box and that way of thinking. And from a copywriter's perspective, I guess what we do is we always put ourselves in the customer's shoes. So we really want to look at what your customers see when they come to your website, or when they read your blog, or when they read your brochure. And being simple, straightforward and clear is a huge part.
Yeah, and I don't think you can do that yourself. I think you really do need someone to come in and and have a look at that from a different bird's eye view. Because you don't realize, even some people with their just their about section, some people have got like the wrong URL in there for their website. and people are not taking care of that. Now, people click on that about section. I would even start with getting someone like you just to fix the about sections, not editing the URL, but just really honing in on describing what you do. Because when people come to your page, they don't know everything about Facebook. They don't know everything about your business. And, a lot of us go to that about section to go, okay, I need a feel for this person. And if you can have 2 or 3 sentences that are really strong, rather than going, hi, my name is la, 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 something that, is able to set the scene a bit better, that's really powerful for someone to stick around.
So, 100%. Yeah. And you'll find that people writing about themselves, it's actually the hardest topic to write about.
Yeah.
People get really stuck, and you really have to kind of pitch yourself and sell yourself, and people find that really tricky.
Yeah.
So about pages are actually one of my specialties. I do quite a lot of them, and bios and profiles and that sort of stuff, because that's an area where people really do get stuck. And like you said, people are first looking at a business, considering whether or not they're going to engage. They really want to know about the people behind the business. So that is your opportunity to share a bit about yourself and really make a connection with the customers. And if you don't do that, they're going to go to somebody else that can. It's that simple, because there's so much out there these days, and there's a lot of competition. So you really do need to make yourself stand out.
Yeah, and even for yourself, I think it's important to even know what you do, to really understand what you do, and to make sure that pitch that you have, even the networking events that we have with WBS, like you turn up. And, you have got a small amount of time when you meet somebody to describe what you do and say, what do you do? What's your business? And if you're spending 30 seconds confusing the person, they're going to walk away going, oh, my God, that person doesn't even know what they're doing. But you do, but you just can't articulate that. So, once you sit down with a copywriter, you get those words, you can use that verbally as well, not just for written. So I think that's even taking it to the next step.
Absolutely.
With copywriting.
Yeah, for sure. And look, when you get an about page written, you find that you use that for so many things. So you use that on your website, in your social media, for your elevator pitch, like you said, when you're networking. It's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. So once you get that right, it's something that's a real investment.
All right. So we should get into this, because you have got some awesome content to share. I'm already starting to dive into it, so I can tell this is going to be really, really good. So let's start with the 7 keys to writing a kick-ass copy. 7 keys to writing kick-ass copy. There you go. Rolls off the tongue when I try not to read it. Okay, so let's start.
All right, cool. So before I launch into number 1, I'm going to say the first 3 steps of writing kick-ass copy happen before you even put pen to paper, or before you put fingers to keyboard. So the first 3 steps are things that people are often tempted to skip over, or they just don't think of them at all. But I'm here to say, please don't skip these steps, because these are some of the most important things to actually nailing your brief and communicating your message. So starting with number 1, which you kind of touched on before, number 1 is know your brand. So that kind of sounds like a no-brainer. Who doesn't know their business? Who doesn't know their brand? I mean, we all know what we do. We all know what goods we sell or what services we offer. But when I talk about knowing your brand, that's not enough. You really need to understand your brand identity before you start writing anything at all for your business. So what do I mean by that? Couple of questions you need to ask. So what is it that your business does? Who do you do it for? So that's thinking about your ideal customer and your audience. When do you do it? Why do you do it? Which is a really big one. And how do you do it better? So what makes you different from your competitors and other people doing what you do in your space? Why should somebody choose you over the other 100 copywriters out there? And I actually wrote a blog on this recently, and a good way to look at it is to think, if your business was a person, who would it be? So kind of think about your business and give it an avatar or a personality. And if you kind of do that, you can really flesh out an identity, and it makes it a lot easier to write about your business.
Yeah. You know what I say about that stage? I spoke about this yesterday in a podcast. Make love with your business. And it means get really intimate and get to know each other and what your values are and what your, like a marriage, like where are we going? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? And what the communication between a business. I see business and a person as 2 separate things, and every day you turn up and you owe it to your business and you owe it to your customers. But you need to really get intimate with your business and really understand it, because I think that then helps with describing what you do, because it starts getting narrower and narrower. For me, my husband, it's to travel. We love to travel. That's what we want to do in the future. It narrows down to one thing because you're heading in the one direction. So for your business, where are you taking it and what are your values? And that then comes with, collecting the right customers along the way who are in line with those values. So yeah, that is number one. And if you don't think this is important, take it from Alicia, being the expert with this, that you need to really make love with your business, get to know your business and the values and everything you just mentioned. Very, very important.
Yeah, you really do. And you find if you don't do that step before you start writing, you'll just be faffing about. You'll have writer's block. You'll be staring at a blank screen. Yeah. Or if you do manage to get something down on paper, it's just not going to get the results that you want. So absolutely start with that. Step number 2, once you've figured out who your brand is and your brand identity, you need to know your audience. Now, this is just as important as number 1. So this is all about niching and writing for your ideal customer. So in the same way that you really thought about who your business would be if it was a person, think about your ideal customer so that when you write, you can speak directly to them. So when I say think about your ideal customer, I mean think everything about them. Be a stalker. So, are they male? Are they female? How old are they? What industry do they work in? What problems are they facing? Yeah. What do they have for breakfast? What colour underwear are they wearing?
I know everything about you, Alicia. I've been stalking you for ages. I'm just kidding. I know you're wearing a robe.
That was our dirty little secret.
I know. No, but you are right. Stalking in a good way, because you do need to know. Because once you remove yourself from that equation, because business isn't about us, it's about them. Once you remove yourself and concentrate, you would want to stalk them because you want to know what they need, so you can give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I'll say to kind of sum this up is, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one.
Yeah.
So really think about that. It's not enough to just put something out there really generic in the hope that you'll put it out there and you'll attract a few people. It's like throwing a fishing rod into the ocean and just hoping that fish will come. You really have to think about who you're targeting and speak directly to them.
Yeah.
It might not resonate with 80% of people, but the 20% of people that you're wanting to hit, it's going to hit so hard, and they're just going to be like, oh my God, this person is talking exactly to me. This is what I need. This is who I need it from. And that really helps to build that connection.
Absolutely. It's very powerful. And you'll notice your business double, triple, quadruple, grow when you actually really start being quite strict with that part of things, like who you want to work with. Because, then your marketing becomes so clear that anyone who, for example, like you wanting to become a member, like you knew that was a place for you to go. There was something that triggered something inside of you. Now, if I was being fake and not myself, I would have attracted someone else I don't want to work with, the people that are not fun and about themselves. So it's so powerful.
My crazy language, so.
Yeah. All right. So number 3.
Number 3, once you know your brand and you know your audience, you need to know your goal. So before you start writing anything at all, work out exactly what you want to achieve from that piece of copy. So don't just sit down and start writing blindly. You need to really think about what's the purpose of this particular piece. What's your call to action? So what do you actually want people to do when they read this piece of writing? Do you want them to purchase something, buy tickets to an event? Do you want them to sign up to your mailing list or share something?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you want them to do, make sure you're clear on that. And don't be afraid to actually tell people what you want them to do. A lot of people say, I don't want to be too salesy or et cetera, but people want direction. So don't be afraid to say, sign up or do this or do that. Like, give people instructions on exactly what you want.
And it, you know what, I have to, I think every point you're making is so important. This is so important. And the call to action, the call to every single time you put something out there, you must link it to something or tag your business, or there is no point sitting there putting something up. And then what do you expect people to do with it? I always call it the domino effect. If you're going to sit there and you're going to produce it, what domino are you setting up? What do you want to flick down? What reaction do you want? So if I want someone to buy a ticket, I need to put the ticket. I need to actually put where they need to go if they don't need to search for it, because people are busy. People don't have time to spend trying to explore what you're doing. That's your job, to give them all the information. So I always have this in my head. Every single time I do something, I will tag or put something, because otherwise what's the point?
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise, it's just like a tree falling in the woods and nobody hears it and you're just wasting your time. And like you said, you don't want to make people work too hard. Everybody's busy. Everybody's time poor. Make it really easy for your reader.
Yeah.
And another thing as well with that is don't just think about what you want to achieve. Think about the real specifics. So if you're writing a sales page and you're selling, a course or what have you, think about how many units do you want to sell. If you're writing a blog post, think about how many shares do you want to get. Think about your end goal and work backwards. Not only will this help you write more clearly and more sort of focused copy, it'll also help you measure your success, which is really important. So how do you know if something's worked if you don't know what you're trying to achieve? So it's really good to set those goals before you start writing, so then you can actually measure whether something was effective or not.
Absolutely. I'm going through this actually when one of our members has just launched, actually just completed an e-course and asked me a few questions, where to go, from there once you finish. And it's exactly what you just said. Once you put so much work into something, you have to have a plan. You can't just put it on Facebook and expect everyone to be buying it. It's like, it goes back to people being time poor, people not knowing who you are, and all, et cetera, et cetera. But you need to have a plan. You have to know exactly how many do you want to sell? What's your goal? How are you going to achieve that goal? Who are even listening? Do you have, already a database sitting there that you can email? I mean, it's a lot more than just producing something, a blog, or an e-course. It's like, what's the plan behind that? And then, it brings up a whole bunch of other things.
100%. And like you said, everyone's time poor, including us as business owners. That's why it can be so tempting for people to go, stuff it, I'm not going to have a plan. I'm just going to go in. I know what I'm doing. I'll start writing. But whenever you do that, it never ends well. Even for me as a professional writer, I find that the results are never as good if I just jump in and start writing. I really need to think about what I want to say, how I want to structure it, and what return I want to get from every single piece. So it's just so important. You can't underestimate that at all.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with producing, there's another topic we discussed yesterday about sabotage. So a lot of people go and produce this great content, and then they sort of stop there because that was their goal, their initial goal. There's different levels of goals for, you've got, let's say it's the e-course, and then that's the first goal, is to produce that. And that's a lot of effort. It's like writing a book. You have to commit to it. And by the end of it, you're exhausted. You just want to make money from it all, let it just sit there. And it's that plan afterwards. And I'm always very interested to hear a woman's plan from after they've completed something, because you can identify in there if there's any areas of, being scared of actually selling lots of copies. That means you're successful. Already the idea that it's not going to work. So, you really had to, it goes back, I'm really into mindset stuff, because I think, with setting goals, there's like a goal to complete the blog, but then the goal is to actually get people to read it. And that's often the scariest part for people, that you can sit there and write in your little diary, but you don't want your mum to read it.
Exactly.
And that sort of thing. So it's that planning stage. Goals are great and we can kick butt, but it's that follow-up.
Absolutely. And look, I'm really into the mindset stuff as well. I love all of that. And I think you really nailed it then when you said it can mask a fear that's lurking within when people just kind of tick the box, I've done it, but they don't follow up afterwards, or they don't have a plan for how they're going to execute it. Or if they're actually executing and it's not working, they just kind of throw their hands up in the air and go, oh, well, it's not working. But I dust it off. Well, if it's not working, you need to go to plan B, C, or D, and you've got to be able to try different things. But
anyone that says that, I love ripping that fear out from that soul. There's something deep inside when someone says it didn't work. Because I just think, well, what did you try? What did you measure? How long did you do it for? Like, what are you really scared of that it didn't work? Because it can work. It's just we do get in our own way, very much so. So identifying what's holding you back is very important. Yeah,
definitely.
All right, sorry. Let's go back. Know your goal.
So know your goal. I think we've pretty much covered that one. The clearer you are and the more you can map it out, the more successful you're going to be. So that's a big one. And just to point out as well, when you work with a copywriter, copywriting is a collaborative process. So a lot of people think, just hire a copywriter and they'll just figure it out. I won't have to think about what my goals are or what results I want. But rest assured, when you hire a copywriter or any other sort of creative who's, worth anything, they're going to ask you these questions. They're going to ask you what your goals are, who your audience is. So, before you even think about writing something or hiring someone to write it for you, make sure you know all of those things. Know your brand, know your audience, know your goal. And once you've got those things nailed, you're ready to go.
Yeah, and it's very important to actually be ready to collaborate as well. I know a while ago I sent off something to a copywriter to write, and I came back and like, this is not what I said. Like, this is you didn't even listen to my instructions. And this is where, it's like an indicator. If I want to start working with you and I'm speaking to you, we're trying to collaborate and you're not listening, then you're not the right person for the job. So, you have to go in the heart, or just call Alicia. Alicia's awesome. So you just call her first.
I am pretty awesome. When you hire a creative, it is really scary because writing or graphic design, anything like that, it's such a subjective thing. So you think, what's this person going to come up with? How do I know what they're going to do? Is it going to be in line with what I want? So it's a really good idea to do your research first.
Yeah, I did it as a test. I was doing it as a test with a copywriter to see how they sort of worked. I'm like, oh, okay. Because there's, especially your own blog, like unless it's sort of standardized information, then it doesn't matter. But when you have a business where it's your own flavor, then really you can do that. Or have a copywriter that is very similar to your personality. Like, you'd be awesome for WBS because we're on the same sort of wavelength. We've got, it would work. But then I could work with someone else going, that is not the voice that I use.
Yeah, you don't like that. Know the voice of the business. And like I say, I sound like your business, but better. That's kind of what I tell my clients. So
yeah, I like that. I sound like your business, but I'm just much better than that. Yeah. I love the confidence. That's good. All right.
Okay, so we'll move on to number 4. So keep in mind those first 3 things have happened. You haven't even written one word at this point. So the first thing you're going to do when you start writing is think about your headline and really nail your headline. So headline is the one opportunity you get to determine whether someone's going to actually read what you've written. So like we've discussed, everybody's really time poor. People don't have time to commit to reading long articles, and they're not going to read everything that comes across their inbox or that pops up in Facebook. So if your headline misses the mark, it's not going to matter what the rest of your copy says because no one's even going to read it. And fun fact, on average, 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 people will go on to read the rest of the copy. So that just gives you an idea of how much impact the headline can make. And a few tips for writing a headline. So when I write a headline, I usually write 10 to 15 options, which sounds like a bit of overkill, but I find that
Type A personality here, people. Type A personality. So I keep going. 15, that's good. But the thing is, that's what you do. That's what you enjoy doing. And that's why someone should go to someone who enjoys writing 15 headlines to get the right one.
Exactly. Yeah. And once you've written 15 or your 10 or your 5 or whatever you're prepared to do, if you're not a type A like me, you can measure them against 4 different variables. So the 4 things that I measure against is the headline unique? So it shouldn't apply to other industries. People should be able to determine what you're talking about just from those few words. Mm-hmm. Is it ultra specific? So don't be vague or wishy-washy with your headline. Really get to the crux of what you're going to cover. Yeah. Is it useful? And is it urgent? So a lot of good headlines will inject some urgency with a specific time frame or just kind of creating a buzz around something. So of those 4 boxes, not every headline will tick all 4, but you should try to cover at least 3 out of the 4. So unique, ultra specific, useful, and urgent. So if you rate well in 3 out of those 4 categories, you've got a pretty good headline on your hands.
Yeah. And, even a basic one, would you click on this headline? Would you click? If you read this, would you click on it?
Exactly. Put yourself in your customer's shoes.
Yeah. Because, there's some headlines you're just like, okay, you literally on Facebook just scroll right past it. But there's certain ones, and I think, this is really good. I just sort of this. I just had an awesome idea. Start writing down headlines that you do click on and then start using that language within your own headlines. If there's something, like I've got copywriting books, with all the 150 different types of headlines that you can use, which I find really, really useful. But a great way of doing it, so you don't have to purchase the book, is go through Facebook. And when you do click on something, maybe just save the article just on the corner and just click save. And, so you sort of see what language you're responding to, because your customer's going to be very similar to you, which probably going to click on the same things as you, because that's, what the foundation of business is. So you can start seeing a pattern of what you're clicking on and what language that these people are using. So that's a good little, I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, do that. And then we call it a swipe file. So you can create a little swipe file of all the good headlines that you like, and then it becomes like a little encyclopedia that you can go to every time you're stuck.
Yeah.
And you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. There's some tried and true sort of headline formulas that really work. So a couple of effective ones are posing a how-to question.
Yeah.
So you might say something like, how to save thousands off your home loan by next week, something like that.
Yeah.
Or you can do like a reason why headline. So an example of that would be 10 reasons why you should review your home loan today.
Yeah.
So there's different formulas that work time and time again. And if you can sort of come up with, like what you said, a swipe file of those, you can go back to them. And when you're sending out emails and that sort of stuff, just go back and measure, see what gets results.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just quickly mention the 2 books that I have actually on my phone, so I can just easily get these. It's called Words That Sell by Richard Bayarn, I think it is, and Phrases That Sell. And it's pages and pages of just, it's in different categories. So when you get, when you need sort of a bit of inspiration,
absolutely.
Then, there's books like that out there.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Words That Sell. That's a great book. Another one I'll mention as well, The Copywriter's Handbook by Robert.
I've got that. I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
Look at us, we're twinning with our books. We're so cute.
Yeah, I'm just looking through my little thing. No, the thing is, it's just education, and it's. I always go back to when you work in an office, you do one job, whether it's marketing, whether it's admin, you do that one job. You're not expected to run every single department. So running your own business, you're not expected to know absolutely everything. You're expected to educate yourself, though, on a level that you can do it until you can start paying someone else to do it. So not everyone can afford a copywriter at this point in their business very early on, even though it would actually, put them a year ahead. But, that's difficult to tell someone, go spend this much money and you're going to move your business quicker. That's hard to explain. But, there's resources out there to get your business off and running.
Yeah, and even if you can afford a copywriter, you can't afford it for every single email that you want to send out. Maybe for your website, it's kind of essential, but you're writing stuff every day, whether it's just, a quick reply to a customer or a Facebook post. There's times where you're going to need to write copy unless you've got an in-house communications team, which small businesses don't have that luxury, as I said. So copywriting is a skill that can be learnt. You might not get to the level of being able to do it as well as a professional, but you can certainly do it to a good level to get you by and make an impact with your customers. And most of them don't sort of do it to the detriment of your business, because bad copywriting, it really stands out. And I'm sure, if you get an email and there's typos or the language is really off, you just think, it kind of turns you off everything. You think, I wish they didn't say anything at all.
Yeah. So what are the top three things, like the about us page and all that sort of thing? The top 3 that if a business could put aside some money for copywriting, the most important, the top 3 things that they should hire a copywriter for to start off with.
Yeah. So the about page is absolutely number 1.
Yeah.
If we're talking websites, the 3 most important pages are obviously your home page, your about page, and your services page. So they're the pages that everybody's going to. That's where the bulk of your information is about what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
So if you can get someone to do those 3 pages, that's perfect. Another idea, if you're new to business, is to get a copywriter to write a brand story for you. So that just kind of covers everything, everything that your brand's about, the story behind it. That's where you can throw in some of the personal stuff and the history of the brand, what inspired you to start it. And that kind of copy will really inform everything else you do. So that's the tone of voice you'll use on your social media posts and in your emails and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think just a tip for anyone that's listening, that I think this is the first thing you need to do. And if you haven't if your copy isn't good, I would go out and do it as soon as you can and get those things done, because people start spending money on Facebook ads and, this, that, and everything else. But if these parts, the parts that you just mentioned, which are exactly on point, if those aren't right, then that's the foundation of your business. That's describing what you do. That's communicate, it's a communication behind your business. So you need to stop spending the money everywhere else and spend it on this section first, because once that's sorted, it's a strong foundation to explain what you're doing.
Yeah. The other thing I would say would be a tagline. If you don't have a tagline for your business, and you don't have to have a tagline, but if you want one, invest in a copywriter to write something really brilliant for you, because a tagline is your money maker. I mean, think of Nike. How much do you think somebody got paid to write "Just Do It"? And how much money has that slogan made for them, that tagline? That sort of encapsulates the whole business. So that's something that you really want to get right if you do want to have a tagline.
It's so true, because a business name doesn't always describe, like Women's Business Society, it describes what we are, but not what we do. We've played around with like achieving success together, where women connect. And I sort of change it up. I've got a few. And that just, it goes a little bit deeper, doesn't it, in just giving that feel behind what your business is all about. It's very powerful, that tagline.
Absolutely, especially if you've got a business that kind of covers a broad spectrum of things. So if you've got a consulting business or something like that, you really want to narrow down to what it is you actually do. So when people look at it, they go, yeah, that's for me, or no, it's not.
Yeah. What's your tagline?
I don't have one, because mine says what it is. So
yeah. Okay. Where the woman, what did you say before? What was that? I know it was a bit too long for a tagline. When you said about the business, but you're better. What was that?
I sound like your business, only better.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Yeah. Good on a business card, though, I don't think.
I like that. All right. Okay. Taglines. Yeah, that's very, very important. And it might be only 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 words, but they're very, very powerful in your copy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. Number 5. So this is a huge one. Number 5 is sell benefits, not just features.
Yeah.
So benefits are what sell. Benefits are what will change your customer's life or experience for the better, and benefits are the impact that they have. So this is where you've got to kind of think emotionally about what problem you're solving for your customer. And when you're trying to differentiate between features and benefits, a good question to ask is, so what? Okay, so I'll give you just a little bit of an example. I might say, I write SEO-friendly content for websites. Well, so what? What does that mean? What's the benefit?
Yeah.
Well, if I write SEO-friendly content for your websites, your website will rank higher in Google searches, which will get you more leads, more customers, and ultimately make you more money. So you can see how writing SEO content is just a feature of my service, but the benefit is that you get more leads, more customers, and more money. And you can see how talking about a benefit is so much more powerful there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I can say, I've got 15 years experience in marketing and communications. Well, so what? So with that experience, I'm more than just a copywriter. I can also advise you on how to use your copy to get best results. And I can be a virtual part of your business team and your go-to girl for all things communications. So it's like having your own one-woman marketing team.
Yeah.
Without spending the money for one. So you can see, features and benefits. That's what you really want to differentiate, and really focus on the benefits in your copy. And the more specific you can be, the better. So if you're talking about stats and numbers, be super specific. So if you say, instead of saying 20% of this or that, if it's 19% and you know that, say 19%. If you sold something worth $722, say that instead of saying it was $700. Be really, really specific, because it sounds more.
Oh, you know what I'd love to do for next year, when we get you speaking the event, is actually concentrate on this section, because this area is one of the first steps of a business failing. And I know it's at the about page and blah, 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 but this here is, every time someone posts, I'm talking about social media a lot, because obviously that's where a lot of communication is happening, but people putting out these pictures and they're trying different things, like inspirational quotes and all this sort of stuff. And again, it's like, so what? Okay, that's great, but so what? And that section there, what you've just been, what you've been saying is that's the bit that people are going to get to know you a bit better and get to understand what you're doing. And that is an area that a lot of businesses are getting wrong. And you see over and over again. And I think, it'd be great if you could actually do like a course on this one-on-one or something, I don't know. But this is an area it would be really, really good to see businesses get this bit right, because it's constant. And I know it's social media marketers, do this, but this is a copywriter's job to really get this bit right for businesses. Oh, I want to become a copywriter. I can make so much money.
Oh, you're so good.
I'm not doing that. But you need to, that's really, really important. This is something that I speak to members about all the time. This is a bit that they struggle with the most, is they put up these things, it's not getting a response. It's like, well, I'm someone that's stalking you and I'm not even responding to this because I don't know I don't know how, I can't react to that. It's so flat and plain. Like, tell me. If you're passionate about health, tell me more.
Yeah. This experience of kind of going, so what? I liken it to, when you're thinking about your business why, and you keep asking yourself, why? Yeah. Sometimes you have to ask so what 10 times. So you write down a feature and then you ask so what, and you write down something else and you ask so what again, and you just keep going until you really get to the crux of it. So this is a really emotive copy. This is the stuff that people are going to read it and say, yes, this is me. This is exactly what I need. Feels like you're talking directly to me.
Yeah. This bit can make people cry, because I've sat down with a few people to go through this bit, because this is the bit where you're making love to a business, where, you have to understand it, and people have got to that first level and not any deeper. So say if you're at the first level, how can your customers go any deeper if you haven't? And this is the bit where you start, it turns into a business coaching to life coaching and then back to business coaching. Always happens.
Exactly.
And, and then the end part is obviously someone like you who can really write, really good, really good copy. But it's true. You have to, it's very, very important. Everything you're saying is very, very important. I can't wait to get you talking next year. You can have them all with their pens and papers out. Come on, girls, we're going to do this.
Turn on the music and draw the curtains on me, I think, but that's okay. All right, cool. So we'll go on to number 6, which we talked a little bit about this at the start of the podcast, and this is, it's so obvious, but it's so huge. So number 6, be clear. Please be clear. So the biggest mistake people make when they're writing is they try to get too fancy. And I'm just going to put it out there. Big words don't make you sound smarter. And they just don't. Big words don't make you sound smarter. Buzzwords don't work. They're just space fillers. So, write clearly. Say what you mean. When you use buzzwords, nobody knows what you're talking about. Don't be vague. Say exactly what you want to say, and don't be fooled by thinking you've got to write in this beautiful literary prose with 4 syllables in every word, and it just doesn't work for you. Be clear and be concise. And another thing is, don't use technical terms or acronyms or anything like that unless you're sure that at least 95% of your readers are going to understand what you're talking about. Because when you're in your business, you're so used to the jargon and the acronyms and all the terminology that you use. But if someone's coming to your website or reading your blog for the first time, are they going to know what you're talking about? You've really got to put yourself in the customer's position, and they've come to your website because they want to know more about what you do and how you do it. They want to get the information they need. They don't want to be sort of reading through going, what the hell is this? I don't get it. What's this mean? Don't be high maintenance, and don't crap on. High
maintenance. I love that. Don't be high maintenance. That's a good one.
About your readers. Don't make it hard for them. Be really clear, and also be concise as well. So generally in copywriting, less is more, which some people, they're kind of surprised by that. But generally, if you can say something in 1 sentence instead of 2, do that. Yeah. If you can say it in 3 words instead of 10, do that. People are skimming, People don't have time. They're reading and they're skimming at best. So if you've got things that are packed with huge chunks of copy, it's going to make it really hard to do a speed read, and it's going to look boring and overwhelming, and people will look away from it. So you kind of got to make it punchy and make every single word in your copy count. Yeah. Another fun fact, this is my type A personality coming through. I'm such a nerd.
I love it. Yeah.
The most powerful sentences are between 6 and 16 words. Up to 25 words is passable. beyond 30 words becomes really, really hard for people to understand, and anything above 40 words in one sentence is totally unreadable. Yeah. So, when you write something, just go back and have a look. A lot of times you can break up a long sentence by just cutting it in half with a full stop, and one tiny little full stop can change the tone and the readability of your whole piece. So just keep that in mind. 6 to 16 words are the most powerful sentences.
Yeah. And it can take time. Like, to share something personal, my husband, he's an editor and he does copywriting and all this sort of stuff. He's very, very good with English language. I'm a very passionate person, and I've always, when I was younger, written poems, and, I love writing. But I used to be the fluff writer, like just write a lot. And he would come along and he would start cutting things out. When I used to do fashion writing, he would come along, cut things out. I'm like, no, you can't do that. And he goes, Kaz, you've spent like a whole paragraph describing, I don't even know what you're saying. I'm like, but they will understand what I'm saying because they know fashion and I know fashion, and it's all good. Don't remove the word. It was like painful to watch someone come in and cut out all my words. And I'd just be like, they're not going to like this. You've just cut out, But the thing is now I'm a bit older, a bit wiser. I listen a bit more. Now I can understand the power of saying less, which I never put any value on the power of, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago. In my very early 20s, but the power of saying less, especially now, I think it's even more important now when people are time poor. They just want to read the first, and people don't read the rest. I always put a lot of there's a lot of words in my post, but that's because I constantly share all the links because people don't read it, but maybe next time they will. And I just put it all there. So if you want to scroll down, you can. If not, whatever. But the power of just
being concise in your own way, instead of doing 10 different posts, you're being concise by putting everything in one post. So you're still following the rules, just in a different way.
And, just saying what you want to say and remove everything else, because people don't have time to be reading all this. But it is a painful process. It's not easy to go, I'm just going to do in 25 words, especially if you're the passionate type. And but it's also, if you're not the copywriting type, if that's not your expertise, you feel as though you don't have the exact words to describe. And I'm a bit like that when I talk. It's like I just,
You just use all the words.
I just use all the words. And then, other people can talk. Other people, it depends. I'm really tired, so I'm not even making sense this morning. But, then there's other people that talk. You're like, oh, my goodness, as passionate people, you express through your hands and through every single word, but they can say it in one word. Just one word to describe the whole thing. It's just amazing. So, that's why you guys are the pros.
Yeah, but look, it is painful. It's even painful for me. I love words as much as the next person, or more actually, because I'm a copywriter. So sometimes I look at a sentence and I'm like, that is just stunning. It's beautiful, and I don't want to cut it out. But I realise that the sentence above, I've said pretty much exactly the same thing, just in a different way. So you just have to get ruthless, and there'll be plenty of other opportunities to write beautiful sentences. So you just have to let someone go. If you love them, let them go.
Yeah, I don't think people respect words. I think that I loved writing, but I didn't respect the formation and how beautiful it can actually be, because, they're just words, just a language. But you actually can create a beautiful, I feel like playing classical music now and reading a beautiful sentence. A beautiful sentence is so powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't write the way I've been speaking today, because no one will understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, a perfectly punctuated sentence and a killer outfit, those are my weaknesses. Even though I am wearing my robe right now, but whatever.
Okay, so number 7.
Okay, number 7, lucky last, but super important. Be a human. So what the hell do I mean by that? I mean a couple of things. First of all, be a human in the way that you write and the personality that you put into your copy. So don't be afraid to put your personality into your copy. You have to do that. The internet is a big wide world, and you're competing with a lot of people. So you really need to make sure that you convey who you are, who your brand is, and how you're different. So you've got to cut through the clutter, and don't be afraid to try something different. Use humor, use a personal anecdote, use whatever you need to do. The truth is, people relate to people, and people buy from other people. So if you're not being relatable in your copy, you're not giving people an insight into who you are. And people want to work with people that they feel like they know, even if it is just through words on a page.
Yeah.
And if you're someone like me, you're a freelancer or a service provider who works directly with clients, your personal brand is as important as your business brand. So people are working directly with you or, with me. So they want to know who I am. Who is Alicia? Who is the person behind this brand? Who's the person that's going to be writing my copy? So, like I said, don't be afraid to have some fun. Put yourself out there. Everybody likes fun. And you know what? If they don't like fun, do you really want to work with them? That's what I say. So, yeah, definitely do that when you're writing. The second component to being a human, and this relates to website writing and SEO. So for those that don't know, SEO is search engine optimization, which is basically how you get your website to rank in the search results of Google. I'm sure a lot of people know what SEO is, and that's a whole other topic for another day. But basically, part of writing your website is you want to use specific keywords. So when people search for those keywords on Google, your website comes up. A lot of people, when they're writing for websites, make the mistake of getting really hung up on how many times they've dropped their keyword in, or, just putting their keyword in 10 times here and another keyword in here, there, every sentence. And when you do that, you don't sound like a human. You sound like your website's been written by a robot. And the second you do that, you've lost your customer. So remember to always write for humans first and write for Google second. If you're writing well, or if your copywriter is doing it well, it will sound really natural, and it's the same thing. So writing good copy will work for humans and for Google. So just remember, don't get really caught up in thinking that you've got to write for the internet.
Yeah, and I think even scheduling, in your calendar to regularly look at your website, because some people have a website where they're not blogging or anything, it's just a face. And, things start changing in the business, but they're not going back to the website and fixing things. So whether it's once a month or whatever you need to schedule it, regularly looking at, what even in the marketing side of things, you might have started changing the colors that you use, but it's not a match to your website. And, so it can start looking off. So you need to regularly look at your website and change things up and keep up, because things are changing, with SEO and all that sort of stuff. And you've got to educate yourself around that area of things. So regularly looking at your website and revisiting things. And you also grow as a business owner. So your website needs to change. And, then you can educate yourself on how you can do that rather than, having to go and call the website person to fix it every time, which can be expensive.
Yeah. The more you know about different topics, even if it's a little bit, that's going to help you get through. And look, when I wrote this sort of presentation, I could have written 17 steps to writing kick-ass copy, because there's so many things I could cover. And if I could have gone on, one of the other ones I would have definitely be consistent. So like what you said, if something's changed, make sure you update your website, make sure you're sending the same message on your website as what you're sending on social media, as what you're sending on LinkedIn, as what you're sending, on a podcast or when you're networking in person. Consistency can look really unprofessional. And that all comes back to really understanding your brand and making sure it's clear across every single platform. And that's really absolutely huge.
Yeah. And, all the steps that we've gone through, I mean, it's not going to be perfect the first time. And you just have to, give it a go, and you learn along the way. And consistency for me, I think, is showing up. It's showing up, and it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to have the best copy. You're not going to have the best this, but you just have to show up, and people respect that. I can't even talk clearly today. I just called someone the website person, but my brand is based on consistency, to turn up with podcasts and just be authentic and real. So if I screw up, it doesn't matter, because, it's a real relationship with other women in business. So I think, you just have to get out there. You have to give it a go, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's a bit that holds a lot of businesses back, because they think, I can't, write good copy, so I'm not going to write any at all. I mean, at least write something, at least start, refine it, make mistakes, and you just get better. Or just invest in a copywriter, get over and done with.
Exactly.
Then you're sweet, rather than stressing over it.
That's it. Take it off your plate. And look, like you said, just do one step at a time. Focus on one of the 7 steps. And if you can nail the first 3 things, which are knowing your brand, knowing your audience, and knowing your goal before you start writing, you're halfway there. The rest will just flow on, and you'll get into the zone where once you've written a few pieces, you'll have headlines that you can choose from. You'll create that swipe file. You'll get used to asking yourself, so what, when you're thinking about features and benefits. Yeah. You'll get used to cutting out big words or cutting your sentences in half. And the more you write, the more you'll become better at being a human as well and just putting your unique voice out there. And like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be you. It does have to be you talking and your business talking.
Yeah, and whatever voice that is, because consistency is so important. You have to be consistent. You can only ever be consistently you. You know, in the first year of business, you can try to be something else, very desperately. But, once you start getting more comfortable, the real you comes out. So, and then the thing is, that's when a business starts changing. So if you can be you from the very beginning, it helps, because then you're not confusing people when you actually decide to start being you, because your voice will change.
Yeah, and isn't that why most of us go into business in the first place? We just want to be ourselves. We want to have our own thing and just be exactly who we are. So yeah,
I know, but it's human beings.
Uncensored.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, we're human beings. We have egos, and we don't like being judged, and that is. And confidence issues. And that's the first thing that stops someone from really wanting to show themselves, that they hide how successful the business is, fear of, anyone knowing that they're not earning the money. That means then people won't work with them because then, they haven't reached that success. There's so much fear. So then people sit there looking at their screens, not pressing the send button on an email, or finishing that blog and actually posting it and promoting it and having, extended goals beyond just writing a blog. Okay, well, I've got some questions for you. They're just really easy questions.
You say that and then I'll probably be put on the spot.
No, they're just little ones just to make this a bit more human, even though this is quite human, this interview, but just to get to know you a bit more. Okay, so the first one is just 2 business tips. What are your top business tips? That's something you've learned in business that you want to pass on to someone else.
I think the first one, which is probably what everybody says and what we just discussed, is just be yourself. Don't try to please everyone. It comes back to what I said before. Yeah. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. So just think about who you really want to speak to, who your ideal customer is. And if you be yourself, you'll find your people. So that's probably my first one. The second one I would say is get testimonials. So no matter what field you're in, if you've got happy clients, hit them up when they're the happiest. So if you've just provided a service or you've done work for them and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, ask for a testimonial and add that to your website, because testimonials are probably one of the most powerful pieces of copy that you can ever get. And if you've got a happy client, 99% of the time, they're more than happy to take 5 minutes to write a couple of sentences for you. What I do is I've got like a testimonial template made up where people can just go through and tick the boxes that apply, and then I can make that into something really nice on my end. So make it easier for your customer and get testimonials wherever you can, because they are an awesome selling tool and people forget about them.
Yeah. Great tips. Okay, the next one is your dream destination and when are you going?
Ooh, my dream destination. My dream destination is probably Japan, but I've already been there. But I am going to Hawaii in 2 weeks' time, which I'm pretty excited about. We were meant to go about 4 years ago, but my very selfish husband decided to break his leg 4 days before we flew in. So we never made it.
Husband.
So I've wrapped him up in
inconvenient.
I know, it's so rude. I was furious.
Hawaii.
Until we leave in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Whereabouts in Hawaii?
We're going to a wedding on the Big Island, so that's going to be cool. And then we're just going to go to Honolulu and stay in the main strip for a week or so.
Nice. It's lovely. I was there about, let me just think now, 10 years ago when my kids were toddlers, I think it was. I can't remember which day, but it was where they filmed part of Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
It was down the road from Elizabeth Taylor's holiday house. I cannot remember what it's called, the area, but it was beautiful. And it was just, it was lovely. Very, very lovely. I don't remember too much of it besides being lovely because my kids were toddlers. So my brain was like, a bit of a fuzz. But it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy. Okay, the other one is, what's your favorite app, but business related, so something that you often open up, and it could be anything on your phone.
All right, I have to open up my phone now and just see what my hand automatically goes to.
Yeah.
Probably the podcast app, to be honest. I'm a massive podcast nerd, so I listen to podcasts all day, every day, when I'm at the gym, when I'm going for a walk, when I'm hanging out the washing. Yeah. That's a huge one. Otherwise, maybe my Xero app. which is accounting software.
Mm-hmm.
And not business related, but the Iconic is a big one because I am quite a shopaholic. So there you go.
There's the balance. You have to have the balance. Can't all be about business.
Exactly.
What's one thing that you couldn't live without in business and in life?
If I say my husband, that sounds so soppy. So
no, I couldn't live without mine. Without mine, he's like, he's very much a part of WBS. So without him, no, I need my husband. I mean, I need my husband because I love him, but also he's great with WBS.
My husband and my cats. I think I said to you at the start of the podcast, I'm a bit of a crazy cat lady. So I've got 2 cats. I need them. Aside from that, my computer, I'm obsessed with my computer. If anything goes wrong with it for 1 second, if my computer died right now, I'd be at JB Hi-Fi before you could hang up getting a new computer. It's just,
All right. So we are all done. Thank you so much for sharing that. So that's it for this episode of the WBS Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find all our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or by searching for Women's Business Society on any podcast player. If you're a female entrepreneur, head on over to WBSociety.com to find out how you can become a member. Whilst you're there, check out the WBS magazine, which is full of tips to help grow your business. The Women's Business Society promotes, connects, and motivates female entrepreneurs. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.